Hi, are we live? Let's test out the stream here. I see some chats coming in, that's good. Good morning, everybody. Welcome, my morning warriors. Let me make sure I have the right mic today because I did the last 2-hour live stream using the wrong microphone input. Rookie mistake. Where is my chat? Here we go. And I also just learned how to put the chat on the screen. So where is everyone from? Who's here right now? Isaac is here, Pratik is here, Jose is here. Let me know if you're just joining the live stream, what your name is, because some people don't have their names on their YouTube channels, and where you are, so I know what time zone you're in. And how do you guys like this time? If you're new here, I'm Kristin, by the way. Welcome to Traveling with Kristin, and I used to do daily live streams, weekly live streams. Now we're doing monthly live streams, and we're doing them rotating on the last Sunday of every month at different times, because we have people all over the world, so sometimes people can't come because of the time zone, and so we're going to be doing it at all different times: morning, afternoon, nighttime. People can't hear me. Sound check. Can you hear this tapping? Let me see, check my mic input. I'm going to try to stay on top of the live chat today and not let it get too late, because last time I was really behind, like an hour behind. Let's do some more sound checks before we get in here. I have my gain turned down on the mic because I've been recording a lot of podcast interviews lately, and if it's a solo episode, I can record it in a small room or in my closet, but if it's an interview and I'm doing it on video, it's always a little weird to be sitting in your closet. But in my new apartment, which I love, by the way, it has really high ceilings, so it's really echoey. And so I have to turn the gain down on the microphone so that it doesn't sound echoey in the podcast, because I'm sure that's very annoying. So is it better now? Maybe I should open my own chat and listen. One second. Okay, you hear the tap. Okay, I hear sound, input, output, testing. Okay, I can hear myself. Okay, everyone can hear. I'm gonna mute myself so there's no echo in my ears. Oh my gosh, we got a super chat already. Okay, I'm just getting my bearings about me. I haven't had any coffee yet. Is anyone drinking coffee? Which time zone are you guys in? Let me know your name, where you're from, where you are right now, and what you're doing on this lovely Sunday. Someone says Happy Veterans Day. It's Memorial Day weekend, right? I'm very festive today. I've got red, white, and blue. I want to give a big shout out to, okay, I'll turn up the gain more. How about now? Is that louder? I'm adding Eric to the broadcast. Woohoo, we have production value, people. Thank you, Eric, for the $49.99 super chat. Way to get things started. Do you have any questions for us? Start dropping your questions in the chat. Is the sound better now? Let me go to the most recent chats. Okay, sound is better. Leslie says yes. Face the Sky says yes. Okay, great. I'm projecting my voice, and gonna start saying hello to everybody. So we have Hai Yang Hu from Finland, who's asking about Finland. Let me start taking some notes. Oh, look how red, white, and blue I am. I even have blue paper. I'm analog. Finland, we got Jose from Peru, Andreas from Sweden, Ed from Austin, Texas, Isaac's in California, Pratik is here, Mike, Dinesh is here, Trader Walt is here in DC. Are you in DC? Kristu is here, Karen is here from Sofia, or she's in Sofia in Bulgaria. Hi, Karen. Alan from Idaho. Alan, did you like that Idaho got a cameo in my top cities in the US video? Boise. Julio's here, Dave from Philadelphia, Stephen in New Smyrna, John in Virginia, Tim, Ocean, CA. Thanks, Eric. Everything is going well in Florida. It's a beautiful day outside. I hope to go out there later. Hay is here. He says, thank you, love your work. Thank you. G is here in Colorado. Okay, sounds like this, it looks like the sound is better now. Great. If you're just tuning in, I realized in the last live stream, after the 2-hour live stream, that I was using the wrong sound input. So I wanted to make sure I got it right this time. Oh, thank you, Eric. He's off to breakfast. We'll leave his super chat up here for now. Hope you have a great holiday weekend. Oh, did you guys see my mug? Pratik likes my mug. It's a K mug. Wait, this way. It's mirrored, so it's like... Stanislav is here. Is this the Stanislav that I know from real life in Bulgaria? I met him at a restaurant in Bulgaria. He was my very nice waiter, if it's the same one. That was in Kazanlak, I think. Which, ironically, I was just looking for clips from Kazanlak, Bulgaria last night. That is so random. I haven't even been looking for those clips for a long time because I went on this road trip by myself in Bulgaria, and I went to the Rose Valley. Who knew that Bulgaria is famous for having beautiful roses? They make rose oil there, rose water there, and every year they have a rose festival. And I actually missed the festival itself, but I still got to go to some of the like different events that they had going on. And yeah, it was just a lovely trip, but I actually never published the vlog. I made a vlog from there I went to the rose oil factory, and I went to all of these old ancient ruins in this valley, and I went up to this top of a mountain where you can see the, it was like in the communist sculptures or statue from the other side. I can't remember what it's called right now. Anyway, I was editing the part 2 of my interview with Eric Prince, the minority nomad, and I wanted to publish it yesterday, but every time I say, okay, this video is coming out today, which I said in my YouTube stories, I jinx it and then it's not ready. I worked on it all day until like 11 p.m. It's ready now, but I didn't want to publish it in the middle of the night. But anyway, I was looking for a clip from Bulgaria, and I was opening up that Rose Valley folder from 2 years ago, and I couldn't find the clip I was looking for, but well. Barbara's here. Rainy and cold in New York. Oh yes, perfect for self-indulgence. In my opinion, every morning is perfect for self-indulgence. I'm such a morning person. I love slow mornings, and I'm glad that so many other people embrace that as well. Coffee is ready. Everyone's having some coffee today. Tim's here from Utah. Faceless Guys in Mexico. Walt's had 3 cups of coffee. I'm going to suggest we cut it off here. Tech Lords is here. Welcome to our moderator. Welcome, welcome. Leslie's here. Andreas is on a bus in Sweden. Okay, great. Mike is drinking mango juice in Cocoa Beach. It's mango season in Florida right now. So I actually just texted my mom about that last night. I said it's mango and gardenia season because I was out for a walk, and she automatically asked me to send her pictures. I was like, how did you know I was documenting it? I guess, you know, moms know you pretty well. Okay, we have a question from CA about Australia. I'm going to try to stay on top of the live chat so I'm not really far behind, and then I'll do some questions after. So start posting your questions. I will start writing it down on my blue paper, which I actually thought these were going to be the full-sized legal pads. I ordered on Amazon, and then they were the small ones. But fun fact, I grew up in my dad's office. He's a lawyer. So I used to always draw on the yellow legal pads, and now that's like the only thing that I can use for taking notes and planning my life. I just do everything on legal pads. It's so weird. Our brains are so weird. But I did not mean to buy miniature pink and blue legal pads. That was a mistake. Okay. Fatigue. Okay, Barbara, Croatia. I probably need to have my virtual assistant on the live streams to collect the questions, because we're getting so big now. The channel's getting so big. Okay. Bear with me here. Okay, Pablo in Menorca, Spain, chilling, having some tea, listening to good music. How about you? I'm good. I'm having coffee and hanging out with all you guys. Karen's asking about travel plans. Yohji's here from Tokyo. Wow, I did not realize, Walt and everyone in the Northeast, that it was so cold up there today. Hey, Steve. Hassan. Travel to Europe. Yes, Karen, definitely go to the Rose Valley. It's about that time. I don't know if they're having any festivals with COVID and everything, but it was in the summertime. Yes, Rose capital of Europe. Taha's asking about Turkey. What did you guys think of the interview with Eric? So I used to publish all of my podcast interviews on YouTube. So for those of you who don't know, I have a weekly podcast called Badass Digital Nomads. That's not just about digital nomads. It's about work, travel, life, a little bit of philosophy and self-help stuff. But it's basically about people who either created some sort of unique life for themselves, or they travel full-time, or they live abroad, or they run their own businesses. Just, it's not your typical business podcast, although we do talk about business stuff a lot. Anyway, I launched that podcast in May of 2019, but I started doing the interviews probably 6 months or so in advance so that I had enough to publish. And I used to publish all the interviews on YouTube, but they're usually an hour long, so it takes a lot of time to edit those. So I stopped publishing them last year, or maybe even before that, but I just published the Eric episode part 1, and then I just finished part 2 last night, so that one will be coming out soon. So let me know in the chat if you like to have a mix in of podcast interviews with other travelers and entrepreneurs, or just focus more on the travel videos themselves, like the travel updates, the destination guides, the me rambling about living in another country, Costa Rica, Japan, those sorts of things. Oh, Lisa's in Canada. Okay, I'm gonna scroll down, look for some questions. Yes, I'm very analog today. I'm just a digital girl I'm an analog girl in a digital world. I'm both. Thank you, Kim. Okay, Alan's asking about expats in Ecuador. Okay, I'll start putting some of the questions that I'm answering on the screen so that people can see, because also in the last live stream I had like a 5-minute wait when it started so people could come on, and then I cut that when I published it, and it actually removed the live chat from the replay, so that was really annoying and I couldn't fix it, so I won't do that this time. If you're watching the replay, hopefully the live chat is working. Okay. Oh, I think if you want to put a question, put a Q. That's what Tech Lord says. Put a Q and then your question. So Tech Lords this is my moderator. Tech Lords was one of my first 10 subscribers, I think, or 10 or 100, something like that. And he's asking, whoops, wrong one. It looks like oh, there we go. Okay. He says, in your opinion, will Switzerland exit the EU? They just broke off talks with Brussels after 7 years of negotiations. Oh, geez. I don't know. I don't want to opine on that, because in my career working in relocation, there's always regulations that are changing. There's always talks with different governments about what's happening with immigration and other sorts of things. And I've had so many people not go to countries because they're afraid of what they hear is going to happen. And then sometimes that does happen eventually, but usually with government sorts of things, they're always in talks for way longer before that thing actually happens, with exceptions, of course. And so people have been asking this a lot about Taiwan. Everyone's asking, is Taiwan getting invaded by China? Why would I recommend Taiwan for expats if it's at risk of an invasion? And I mean, I'm not saying it's never going to happen or that it's not possible, but usually when there's fears of something happening for a long time, it never happens in the timeline that people think it will, or sometimes it doesn't happen at all. And it's interesting that as soon as I published that video on the best places for expats to live in the world, which was based on all of these different surveys mixed with my opinion, a new Expat Insider survey came out a week or so later, and they had Taiwan as the #1 destination in the world for expats. So, of course, these sorts of things are subjective, but I guess long story short, I try not to make decisions on like hypothetical things of what an external governing body will be doing, because those are things that I can't control, and so I don't want to really plan my life over some intangible future. So long story short, that would be my advice on that. It's like if you go somewhere and then they change the rules, then make a decision reacting to that. Timo likes the interview with Eric. He said we did a great job, very informative. Great. I think you're going to like the part 2 of the interview with Eric because it's about all of the places that he loves to visit. So everyone always asks me what are my favorite countries, and in part 2 we're talking about his favorite countries on every continent. So I would have published it this morning, but I had the live stream, and so I thought that would be weird if I published a video and went live at the same time. So maybe I'll publish it after or tomorrow. Did my audio stop again? Oh God. I have a message here from Ed that says he can't hear the audio. Julio likes the interview. Dave likes the interview. Hey, Sean. That one guy says you have some of the best travel guides for sure. Thank you. Well, if it's going to be raining, ska punk, and anyone that's in a rainy and cold place, I'm glad that at least we can hang out on this live stream together so you're not missing anything outside. Ricky's asking if I've been to India. I have not been to India yet, but we're talking a lot about India in part 2 of Eric's podcast. Brian's asking about the Phuket Sandbox program in Thailand. No, I don't know anyone participating in that. Oh, we have another super chat. Okay, let's see. My computer is being a bit sluggish. All good audio. Okay, good. It's Teemo. Thank you, Teemo. $25 super chat from Teemo. He says, thank you for your inspirational, professional, and passionate content. Looking forward to traveling again. Me too. People keep asking where I'm going to be traveling to, but I feel like everything's happening really fast right now, and I haven't made a decision yet. But since I'm in Miami, which is a really good base with a lot of airports and a lot of direct flights, I feel like I can just book something last minute. I don't really want to mess around with booking and planning far in advance and then canceling or rescheduling, because that's very time consuming and annoying. Pratik's asking about why do people make a 20-minute video that can be set in a 5-minute video? That's kind of a funny question because I published a 2-minute and 37-second video the other day, which was a Europe travel update, because that's how long it needed to be. It just needed to be 2.5 minutes long, just a short update. And then the next video I published was Eric's interview part 1 on Thailand, and it was an hour long. And then someone was mentioning in the comments like, oh, it's an hour long, like it's too long. And I'm like, I just published a 2-minute video. Like, some videos need to be 2 minutes, some need to be 5, some need to be 20 or 30, and some need to be an hour, because a 2-minute interview might be pretty weird, might be a bit boring. I like the longer interviews. Well, I split it into 2 parts, so it wouldn't be 1 2-hour interview, but I feel like you get to, as the person interviewing, you get to establish a rapport with the guest, and you get to know them on a personal level. So of course you want to research your guests and know who they are before they are your guests. That's why they're coming on the show, because you know something about them that you like. But then usually that could be the first time you ever talk to them. And so a great example of this is 2 days ago, I had Erica Portland. Is Erica here in the chat? Erica is a subscriber here on the channel who commented on my video about the opinions of expats living abroad on things like taxes and renouncing their citizenship, etc. She offered to share her story on renouncing citizenship. So she actually commented that she had just completed the process, and I was asking her how it was, and then I invited her on the podcast. So I didn't know that much about her, but in the first few minutes of the podcast, like, her answers to questions led me in this other direction of inquiring more about her experience growing up and as a solo traveler, and why she wanted to give up her citizenship. Of course that was what I was going to ask her about anyway, is why she renounced, but probably the first 30 minutes of the interview was focused on all of these travel related questions that I didn't have for her because I didn't know her. And so that really set a good foundation for then explaining why she chose to renounce her citizenship. And I think it just makes the interviews more interesting, because sometimes I go on other podcasts that are like a 20-minute interview, and sometimes you want to get just some really quick tactical knowledge if you're listening to a short podcast that's like 15 or 20 minutes, but it's hard to get into more of the travel stories and things like that when it's so short. Walt's asking if I got vaccinated yet. Yes, I've had my first shot. My computer is a little frozen. 1 second. I'm going to scroll in the chat here. We've got lots of good questions. So Pratik was asking earlier of a country I haven't been to that's on my bucket list. And one that's really high on my bucket list right now is Turkey, especially after talking to Eric, because it's one of his favorite countries to go to in the world. And it's one that I've been all around, and I've never actually been into Turkey. So I think it's really underrated, and from what I've heard from other people, and I really want to go there. Tim was asking about countries you can visit without any sort of vaccine or testing, and I'm thinking of doing a video on that. So if you would like to see a video on places you can go without it, not saying if people should or shouldn't get vaccinated. Like I just said, I got the vaccine, but a lot of people are interested in knowing where they can go without it or without getting tested. So if you want to get a list of countries where you can do that, let me know in the comments. Spiros says, I'm going to add this to the broadcast. Thank you again, Timo, for the super chat, and Eric from Portland. Somebody send this to Ryan Holiday. I do get a lot of comments if people say, like, you're basically like a philosopher. I mean, I think I try to practice philosophy in my life. I haven't written any sort of philosophical books or anything like that, but I do love Ryan Holiday. I love the Daily Stoic. Did some writing for them in the past, and would love to have him on my podcast someday, maybe next year. And I was just listening to the Daily Stoic this morning when I was eating breakfast before the live stream. I was listening to the episode it was the audiobook that Tim Ferriss published on Seneca's letters. So I think it was letter number 9 from Seneca. It was one of my favorite Stoics. I feel like I relate to him a lot. Nicholas is asking if I've encountered doctors as digital nomads in my travels. No, but I did know some people in Doctors Without Borders. But I think that they all had home bases and then they would go and travel. Jason's asking, how would I compare Costa Rica to Bali? Is Costa Rica a good Bali alternative? Oh, that's an interesting question. They're really different. I mean, they're the same in that they're very popular destinations for Westerners to visit. I think that because of our fast-paced society, whether you're living in Canada or Europe or the US, people tend to want to gravitate towards places that have a slower pace of life. And that's definitely Bali, that's definitely Costa Rica. I just had a couple on my podcast, so that it'll come out in about a month or so. And they lived in Bali for 8 years, and then they moved to Costa Rica, and now they live where I used to live in Nosara, Costa Rica. And so I think those are the biggest similarities. It's like the climate, the pace of life, and they were saying on my podcast that they found it very easy to get a lot of work done in Bali because of the slow pace of life, and also being in a different time zone with less interruptions. And you can surf in both places, so they're good. But they liked Costa Rica as an alternative because it's in the same time zone as North America, closer to the US, closer to visit family, which is one of the reasons that I talked about in the Costa Rica video, why people leave Costa Rica, because they miss their families. So imagine living in Bali. If your family is in Europe, you're probably not going to get to see them that long. Kim's asking if my podcast is on YouTube. Is that the correct name? Yes, it is. I hope this doesn't need to be censored. Badass Digital Nomads. It doesn't have its own channel, but we do have a website, badassdigitalnomads.com, and it's on pretty much every single podcast platform you can imagine. I've added it. I mean, more platforms are coming out all the time, but it's everywhere. And it's also on travelingwithkristin.com. If you just click on podcast at the top, it's there. And we just published, I believe, episode 110 this week. So there's a lot of different topics out there. If you go to badassdigitalnomads.com and click on episodes, you can choose by the category. So some are episodes, some are interviews, some are digital nomads, some are about society and culture. There's all different topics that you can choose from. And in the search bar, you can also just search anything that you want, and you'll find a list of episodes that relate to the topic that you're interested in. So maybe you want to search about sailing or couples or families or Thailand, like a certain country, you can search for that in the box. Oh, we've got a little bit of lag in my chat. 1 second here. Thank you, Timo. Oh, we have a question from SCSU 300 that says, what are the best places to travel or retire on FIRE for $1,500 to $2,500 a month? Do I have a top 10 video on that? And so that's a good question, because I actually have at least 2 or 3 podcast interviews on that. So I think there is a category for retiring early or passive income, so you can search for those on my website. And I'm planning to do a video on places that you can live on less than $1,500 a month. So I can also do one on retiring, places to retire. Kim likes the long videos. That's good. F-Bone's asking how my surfboards are working out. I posted in Instagram stories that my little brother got me a new surfboard. I have not tried it out yet because it's in California still and I'm in Florida, but I'll have to fly out there and go surfing. Oh, we have a very good question from Sharon asking why I think Lisbon is overrated. And that means that you listened to part 2 of my podcast with Eric. Did I say that in part 1 or part 2? They're all blending together. But that means you were paying attention during the interview because I did mention that offhanded, that both Eric, Minority Nomad, and I think that Lisbon is overrated. It's not that Lisbon isn't an amazing place, because it is. It has everything. It checks all of the boxes, and I've done a lot of videos about Portugal and Lisbon as well. But I mean, no place is perfect. And so I think when it comes to Lisbon, even though on paper it provides one of the most perfect, oh, my video just went out. One of the most perfect contexts for living abroad. It has great weather, nice people, very safe, good quality of life, good food, amenities, good infrastructure, fast internet. Like, it has anything that you can need. The beaches, like the history, the culture. But I think, I don't know, it was too crowded for me. I should go to more places in Portugal and kind of like find which corner of the country would be best for me. And I think I had a bigger impression of it before I went there because so many of my friends went there once and then never left. So they were there 2-3 years later. And so I thought that when I went there that I would want to stay forever. And I just kind of felt like this is a place that I would come for like a month or so, and then I would want to move on and keep going. So that's something that we talked about in that podcast, that the place that you end up staying, like, it has to resonate with you. You have to have some kind of deeper connection with it besides just that everybody's there. Like, everyone said go to Chiang Mai, so you go to Chiang Mai. This is hilarious. Well, I would not put myself with Socrates and Plato and Nietzsche. And also, I'm Kristin with an I. Tommaso is asking if I think after the pandemic, will there be more digital nomads? I think there will be more. So this is a place where Eric and I disagreed. I think there's going to be more. Eric doesn't think it's going to really turn into a thing, but humans are very adaptable, and we're also creatures of habit. And the change that has happened in the past year plus since the pandemic is irreversible. I saw a study on some construction in London on tube stations, and I think the construction only took 2 weeks. And in that time, I don't know the exact number, I want to say it was around 30% of people actually did not go back to those tube stations. So because of that 2-week construction period, people created new commute paths to work, and they no longer went back to their old path. And so with this global reset with the pandemic, I just don't see how it can ever go back to the way it was. I know people are going back to their offices, but that might be temporary. I mean, some people will always have to work in offices. I don't know always, but their jobs make more sense to be done in an office, or they need access to equipment or some other thing in their physical workplace. But a lot of knowledge workers are going to require the flexibility to be able to work from home or to be able to work from anywhere. And if their jobs don't offer it, they're just going to find a company that does. And so it's going to be like this work evolution where companies have to adapt or they're going to fall behind. Oh, yes, Timo, that's a good suggestion. I have heard of Lexi Limitless because I was following Yes Theory, and I think that she's dating or was dating one of the guys. I don't know if they're still together, but that's how I found out about her. And I watched her TED Talk on traveling to every country in the world, and she would make for a great interview. And I've been trying to intentionally bring in more female solo travelers, more diverse people. And I think I did a pretty good job of that, though, in the past 2 years. Like some couples, some families, some single people, people from different places, different backgrounds, different groups, different sexual orientations. So I always want to represent everybody. Hassiver asks, what country would I love to visit first as a first timer? I think this was a question that I talked about with Eric, as we were saying, or it could have been another interview, that whatever your first country is that you travel to, that's the best country for you to visit first. It's like, it doesn't really matter where it is. I think for me, it was Canada and then Italy. And Canada made a big impression on me because it was in Montreal. So it was such an international area. And coming from Florida, I had never heard waiters speak different languages in the restaurant, for example. And I remember I must have been 15 years old, 14 years old. And I remember hearing the waiter speak a different language at every table that he went to. And that was just mind-boggling. And I was like, I want to do that. I want to learn other languages. I want to be able to communicate with people from all over the world. And so I already think every human has this genetic predisposition to want to travel and explore and to wonder about far-off places. But yeah, wherever you get that experience in real life, that really is setting the stage for the next place that you get to go. And then when I went to Italy on my senior class trip when I graduated from high school, that just took things to a whole nother level because, hearing somebody speak a foreign language in a restaurant in Canada is a lot different than walking through the Colosseum and eating an amazing panini and a glass of wine in the streets of Rome, or having an espresso. That was just like, wow. And the plane, like just flying across the Atlantic Ocean for the first time. I still remember I didn't sleep at all on the plane. I was really jet lagged when I got there, rookie mistake. And everything was so fun. Even eating the airplane food was fun, even though it wasn't good food. So wherever you get to go, that is the best first place. Pete's asking, as pandemic restrictions lift, where will be the top places for safe travel post-COVID? So I have a couple videos on the safest, actually I have one video on the safest countries to travel to during COVID, which was based on a survey, or I think it was a scientific survey. I also have a video asking about if it's safe to travel during COVID. I think the top favorites, Mexico. has been a big one because it's been open without any restrictions. And so it's been probably the number one destination this year for digital nomads. And also Playa del Carmen and Tulum have become kind of digital nomad hotspots. I think Playa del Carmen for a very good reason. It's close to Cancun, which is one of the busiest airports in Latin America. So it's easy to get to, very convenient, good community, lots of co-working spaces, really safe. I mean, when I lived there, I just walked around and, you know, you can go get food in the middle of the night. You can get anything you want delivered. It's even better now with all of the technology or all of the changes in restaurants and things to deliver. But it's just a really convenient place to live. I think Tulum, I have a podcast on living in Tulum from about a month ago. So you can search for that one on my website. But I think Tulum makes less sense as a remote work destination because the internet is so bad and so slow and goes out so much. But it is really beautiful, and it has a nice atmosphere and a nice backdrop for working. I have quite a few podcasts already on philosophical topics and also on meditation, so check those out. And for just starting out in the travel lifestyle mindset, should you start with places in your home country before going overseas? I don't know if it's necessary. I think if you want to travel, I don't think it matters where you go. When I think back, we did these kind of family Griswold style vacations. So I already had some experience traveling within my home country. But when I went to Mexico for the first time, which was also when I graduated from high school, I had a really fun summer where I did a trip to Italy, a class trip to Mexico, and then surfing championships in Hawaii in the same summer. That was like a life-changing. But one of the guys that came with us, he had never been outside of maybe a 30-minute radius from our hometown. So he hadn't been out of the state. He hadn't really been out of the county, and he was flying to Mexico with us. So I don't think it's necessary. I've been to a lot of countries in Central America, everywhere pretty much except I haven't been to Guatemala and I haven't been to Belize. I haven't been to Valencia, Carlos. I've only been to Barcelona, Madrid, Malaga, San Sebastian, and like that region, lots of small towns around there. Spain, there's so much to explore in Spain. Porto versus Lisbon. I think for partying and nightlife, Lisbon for sure. South Korea or Japan. I haven't been to South Korea yet. That's another one high on my list. Taiwan and South Korea. I haven't been to. I love Japan though. Lots of videos on Japan. Hi Tammy. Tammy's here from Blue Firefly Travel. How do I keep my nomading and travel businesses organized? Well, that's a loaded question. I actually talk about that in my productivity guide. That's in my online course, the Make Money Mentorship Program. So that's on digitalnomadbootcamp.com, where I lay out my daily productivity and also how I keep things organized while traveling. To give you a short answer, it's not about what you do as far as what you don't do. It's about really simplifying what are the most essential tasks in your business and getting a lot of clarity on that, and then not doing everything else. And so, for example, even though I have a Facebook group, which is growing a lot, I think we have almost 5,000 members now, I have not used Facebook since probably 2015. I turned on a timeline blocker and I just never went on it again. So I'll go on there to answer messages or post in the group or answer those sorts of comments. But like, I'm a little bit addicted to Instagram right now too. But like, you start to cut away at anything that's not essential. So when I was traveling full-time, helping people relocate to other countries, I just didn't have the downtime to spend on, you know, in Slack chats or social media and things like that. And so you just end up really getting your work done, and then you want to go out and play. So I would want to go out to the park or go for a walk or go to a museum or something like that. And how long did I spend writing my book? It took me, well, I was thinking about it for about 10 or 12 years. And then it took me about a month to plan it out and organize everything. It took me 2 months to write. And then it took me 2 or 3 months to reread it and edit it. And then that happened again. And then the pandemic came and now I started over. So I'm not the best person for answering that question. It's taking me a long time, but I think sometimes it takes a couple years to write a book. But the actual writing the first draft of the book could take you maybe 30 days or 60 days, maybe 90 days. But then the rest of the process is what takes longer. It's like building a house. Like, the structure can go up fast. No, the foundation takes a long time. Oh, this is a good metaphor. So you might need to get your building permits and draft up your architectural plans, and all that stuff takes a long time. You don't see any progress. You buy the land, you put in all the foundation, and then the part where you're building up, that part is really fast. But then you don't see from the outside all of the work that's happening inside, the finishings, the painting, the tile, the fixtures, the furniture. All of that takes a really long time too. So that's the best way I could describe it. I have been to Catalonia and loved it there. Yes, I love anywhere in Spain. We have a dating question. I have actually a lot of not a lot. I have 1 or 2 articles on dating as a full-time traveler that you can find on Medium. So medium.com/@KristinMWilson. Or if you just Google dating as a digital nomad, my article should come up, or dating as a digital nomad and my name. I also have a live stream on that. I would say it's the same as far as dating in the US versus other countries. There's challenges and pros and cons to dating anywhere, and it's just different sets of issues. Summer in Europe, I would say anywhere. There's amazing weather, concerts, festivals from Western Europe to Northern Europe to Eastern Europe and beyond. Yes, Gabriella, I definitely want to organize an in-person event this year. That has been something I've wanted to do for 3 years, but before I didn't do it because I was traveling too much, and then it was the pandemic, but now I think it's time. We could probably do that. So I will put some thought to that. Let me write it down on my list. We'll have to see how many people want to come, if we can do it, if we'll need to rent something out. I will see. DJ asks, have I been to Shenzhen? No, I've only been to Hong Kong and Macau in that region. Hello, hello. Dinesh is asking about travel to Africa. Yes, I have a lot of places on my list. I haven't been before. I've only been to Cape Verde, but it's not the mainland of Africa, so I would love to spend a few months exploring around there. A lot of people know from maybe a previous live stream or a video that I had a ticket booked to go live in South Africa in 2018, but I broke my hand snowboarding in Japan, and so I ended up canceling that. But since then, Accra and Ghana has really been at the top of my list, Kenya as well, definitely South Africa, Zambia. Well, Eric recommended Morocco and Egypt. So Morocco, well, both Morocco and Egypt have been high on my list too. A lot of places. Which cell phone network do I use when I travel? I use T-Mobile, and I've kept my same US number. So I have two phones. I have one US phone that comes with me, and then I have one unlocked phone that, well, both of them are unlocked now, but I use that one for local SIM cards. Hi, VC. What are my thoughts on moving to Panama? Panama is going to be on an upcoming video that I'm doing on the best places to retire. I think it just depends on what you're looking for. It's somewhere that I've visited a lot. I don't know if I would live there now because I spent so much time in Costa Rica, and it's a really similar lifestyle, so I'm looking for more diverse experiences in my life. And yeah, I've probably spent at least 6 months living in Panama over the years. But it's really affordable place with very warm weather. Well, lots of diverse areas. You've got the beaches, you've got the city, you've got the mountains. It's nice. Oh, you're welcome. Andrew's asking about finding housing in Costa Rica. Yeah, not cheap. Short-term housing in the beach areas of Costa Rica is quite expensive. The places that I usually found houses was through word of mouth, but I also worked in real estate, so it was really easy for me. And for my relocation clients, I'm using hundreds of sources. We have a database with thousands and thousands of contacts, including property managers, homeowners, realtors in all these different countries. So it's a bit different for me, but I would say if you're already in Costa Rica, Airbnb is one of the worst platforms for Costa Rica for some reason. I feel like they don't have as much inventory as other areas, and it's usually overpriced. So you could go to local real estate and rental agencies and ask if they have any vacation rentals that you can get for a long-term rate, and try to negotiate, because you're probably not going to find it as a published rate. And also keep an eye out for signs, like for rent se alquila signs. And you might want to commit to a long-term rental, because you can get a long-term rental for the same price as 1 week of a vacation rental. Kalina asks if I've ever been to Germany. Yes, I have 2 Oktoberfest videos on my channel, but most of my travel to Germany was before I had a YouTube channel, so I don't have that many videos about it. But I used to live in Berlin. Coast City is in Vietnam. and is asking, where would I recommend to stay in a similar time zone as Vietnam? Why don't you go over to Thailand? You can get into Thailand right now if you're willing to quarantine for a little while. Bali as well. I mean, it's not the exact same time zone, but Malaysia, I don't know if Malaysia's open right now for tourism. South Korea is open. Taiwan is open. Walt is one of my patrons, and he's asking, how is communication in Spain? Like, what, speaking Spanish in Latin America compared to speaking Spanish, Castellano. It's a lot different. So quick shout out to all of my patrons, Tech Lords, Walt, Sean. We've got like 30 something people now. So shout out to all of you guys. After this live stream, we're going to do the after party hangout in Zoom that we do every week. So you can join us at patreon.com/travelingwithkristin. $5 a month, support the channel, support the podcast, support my coffee addiction. Yes, I do not have a Castilian Spanish accent. My accent is very much Costa Rican, which other countries make fun of a little bit, but I could still understand. I think they could still understand me, but it's a very distinct difference. I think the most difficult type of Spanish for me to understand is probably Argentinian. I felt like it was, of course, they have a different accent, and how they pronounce the double L is different. It's more of an SH, and everyone speaks, it sounds faster there. So I definitely had to concentrate more. We have Naheli Vasquez. She's on the live chat for the first time. Welcome to all the new people. And she's asking how I manage to eat healthy while traveling, and do I always get a kitchen when I travel? I really love this question because I'm obsessed with health. I've been exploring what it means to be healthy ever since I've been traveling, because through travel you learn about local foods in each country, superfoods, and how other people eat that is not the standard American diet. So this is always something that has been very interesting to me, and I've experimented with it a lot, especially living in Costa Rica, fasting, drinking juices, doing coconut water fasts, things like that. And my health has fluctuated, very dependent on the environment. So we are all somewhat a product of our environment, and if you put yourself in a place where a lot of unhealthy food is very readily available, you can tend to indulge more. So I think when it comes to staying healthy while traveling, it first has to do with the destination that you're going to and how long you're going to stay there. The shorter amount of time that you're there, the less likely you are to cook, because you're going to want to eat out more, experience the food in that place, and you're going to want to sightsee more, so you might be busier and living in short-term rentals, and so, or even a hotel, so you might not even have the means to cook. So yes, like living in Paris, for example, I gained weight. I actually listened to I watched a live stream with Nomadic Matt, and he said the same thing. He gained like 15 pounds when he was living in Paris. So it definitely depends on the place where you are, but then of course you can live anywhere and you can be healthy. I think it's going to be a lot easier moving forward because we have so many ways to work out at home now since COVID. So before, I would have to find a gym or local workout classes. And in Germany, for example, the yoga classes that I went to were in German. And so sometimes it would be difficult. I have a podcast on, I think if you just search on YouTube, Traveling with Kristin, Stay Healthy While Traveling, you'll find an interview that I did about 2 years ago on all of my tips for that. But staying home in the past year, like staying in one place, I feel like I've been able to be a lot healthier with cooking and sleeping more. And so, yeah, I've definitely lost weight since the pandemic, just because of that, because of no jet lag and everything. So I would just say my biggest tips are to definitely get a place with a kitchen and slow travel, because the faster you travel, the harder it is to eat healthier. And that's why business travelers tend to have a higher body mass index, because, you know, they're busy, they're out traveling, they're eating steak dinners and hotel bars, they're probably drinking more. And so you've just got to be really cognizant of that. And then also get out and walk a lot. Like, my favorite place to see a city is by walking, running, or riding my bike. And so try to do that and walk off all that gelato that you're eating. It is possible. Thank you, Tech Lords. Yes, smash the like button, people. Subscribe, hit the notification bell. I think most of the people on the live chat probably are already subscribed, but like this video anyway. And I never ask people to turn on notifications, but when I watch other YouTube videos, everyone's always asking that. So I should probably do that more. Man, this sounds really nice. Sitting in the lounge of the Meridian on the Nile, eating peanuts, drinking beer. Actually, that sounds like something, like, I follow Turkish Airlines on social media, and they always have these cool videos of people like sitting on their balconies overlooking the city with like snacks and appetizers and beautiful drinks. Ooh, this is a good topic for a video. Nomad snowbirding versus retirement overseas. So I used to joke with my family, like they would say that I am a snowbird. I'm a non-retired snowbird. I'll have to put some thought to that. Nomad snowbirding. Where to learn how to surf, Costa Rica versus Portugal versus Bali. I would say Costa Rica if you're going to learn to surf, because Portugal, the water's cold. Bali, the waves are just strong. I don't even know where you would learn to surf in Bali. I guess in Kuta, but even in Kuta, the waves can be really heavy. So I would say Costa Rica. There's so many little beach breaks, and there's tons of surf lessons everywhere. Oh, ET says Malaysia's in lockdown mode. I haven't been researching that, but. Carpe Diem is asking, what's holding me back from hitting the road again? What needs to happen for me to actually travel? I'm holding myself back. And the reason is my book. I don't trust myself to finish the book while traveling full time, and I've been getting in a really good writing habit and content creation habit here, recording lots of podcasts, making YouTube videos, writing. I actually just hired 3 new people to help with email, customer service, that sort of thing. So I'm experiencing some growing pains as an entrepreneur and an online business owner. because I've always worked for myself, and I've always been a solopreneur. And so this is the first time that I'm building a team. I've had, a podcast editor, video editor. I've had always virtual assistants and subcontractors in different places for specific tasks, but I've never had a actually I have had in relocation. I haven't had a full-time team since I started my relocation company in 2011. And in that scenario, I learned that I grew too fast. So my payroll grew really fast because relocation is something that's not scalable. It takes a lot of man hours. And so I scaled up too fast, then I scaled back because I checked in with myself, and I didn't want to just have a big team of employees and be working 24/7 and managing people. I wanted to travel the world, and I wanted to have a small footprint. And so I scaled everything back, and I went to just me and some part-time contractors, and that was great for years. I just traveled the world with very low stress, very low overhead. And now with my channel and everything growing, I've had to accept that I can't do everything on my own, and part of the fun of life is being able to work with other people. So I've been, I guess, growing up in that sense and growing my team, and I feel like I need to be in one place to be able to do that. And then once I have more of this foundation set, then I'll be able to travel more. It's not that they're mutually exclusive. I could definitely just go to Mexico tomorrow and post up there for a few months, but it's also we're checking in with myself and knowing that I have been traveling for my entire life. I've been to 60 countries in 20 years, and there's always more to see, there's always more to do, but if you keep doing the same thing over and over, you're going to get the same result. And so I know that I can go out and travel and meet people and experience new places and have so much fun, but I'm in a phase in my life where I feel more fulfilled doing this, like growing a community, connecting with all of you, creating guides for how to do the things that I've learned to do over the past 20 years. And so that is why I'm not traveling right now. It's not because I don't want to, but I am definitely going to go somewhere this year, and that's going to be like a reward for the hard work that I'm putting in now. So this is something I've spoken about a lot at Nomad Summit, on Nomad Cruise, at conferences and events. I've talked a lot about sustaining the digital nomad lifestyle, or sustaining a lifestyle of freedom where you can travel. And it's just like living in our instant gratification society. Just because something is there and it's available to you, it doesn't mean that you need to partake in it all of the time. Otherwise, we would all just be like I would just eat chocolate cake every day. I would be sitting on Instagram eating chocolate cake and drinking wine all day, but that's not fun when you do it all day, every day. And so it's just having that self-moderation, and that goes with travel too, because the more people, and I've seen this a lot this year, as many people from corporate jobs have been able to travel, they're already getting burnt out in their first year. And so that's because they just hit the ground running and went too fast. So you gotta know your limits. Thanks for coming, Karen. She's gonna go chat with her sister. Get some family time today, guys. Talk with your family, do some FaceTiming. How far behind of the comments am I, Tech? Mike's asking, which language courses do I recommend? I'm actually testing one out right now. I'm learning French, so I'll let you know. I'll report back in a month or so. and I learned Spanish at a place called Conversa in Costa Rica. And I really recommend that school. I actually met a guy at a bar, a gringo. He spoke perfect Spanish. And I asked him, where did he learn? And he said Conversa. And I went back and told them. Their strategy for learning a language is based completely around learning verbs and conjugations. We don't learn any vocabulary. And when I learned Spanish in high school, or when I studied Spanish, because I didn't really learn it, it was focused on memorizing words. And so Conversa's method focuses on the structure of the verbs, and that's it. So I have this book of 501 Spanish verbs, and I can conjugate all of them. And any word we didn't know, we had to look it up and then write it down, and then you use it, you remember it. And so I think a combination of studying a language in person and then also immersing yourself. I lived with a host family. That really helped. Basically forcing yourself by your environment, the same way we talked about how your environment can support or detract from your health goals. Your environment can also support or detract from your work goals or from your hobbies. I leave my DJ set up in my house, so if I want to play for 15 minutes, mix a couple of songs together, I just have to plug in my laptop and it's there. I don't have to take it out. I leave a book on my desk, or on my nightstand, whatever book I'm reading. So, or you can leave it on your pillow if you want to read more. So when you get in bed, you see that pillow. And it's the same with learning a language. If you remove the friction, make it really easy to engage in the learning process, how much easier can it be than living in a house with people who don't speak your language and then going to school physically in a language school? I wouldn't say easy, but it's like you're really in it. You're going to learn. But you can also learn online with apps, but you have to be consistent, even if it's 5 minutes a day. I hope that helps. I think I'm behind because I'm reading comments about Argentina, which I talked about like 30 minutes ago. Sorry, guys. I have long answers. This is who I am. We have a question on health insurance. I'm an affiliate for Safety Wing, which I really like because it's probably the most affordable health insurance that I've found. So they have a travel medical insurance, and then they also have global health insurance. So I think I have a affiliate link. Let's see here. You can get, I think it's 5% off of the health insurance if you, here it is. I have my medical insurance, like emergency travel medical, and also my health insurance links. So I will put those in the chat. Oh, we got a super chat from Yohji. Thank you so much. I love getting super chats in other currencies. I'm such a nerd. 2,000 yen. Thank you so much. Yohji is also one of my patrons. And I apologize, Yohji. This is probably not the best time for you in your time zone. I feel like it's always at like a really bad time for Japan or Bali or Australia. So the next month's live stream is going to be at night, so it's going to be better for people on the other side of the world. He says, I'm always impressed with your practices of excellent communication. Please keep us inspired. Thank you. Thank you. You're so kind. Okay. Nano says, thank you for making this live Q&A. You're welcome. If you are new to my channel and to the live streams, we're doing live Q&As on the last Sunday of every month, and we're rotating the times to hopefully accommodate for every time zone. Bo's asking about what food makes me want to get on a plane and travel to that destination. If you guys haven't noticed yet, I'm kind of a foodie. I love food. I love all kinds of food, like Japanese food, Middle Eastern food, Italian food, French food, and I also love the food in Northern Europe and Scandinavia. You don't hear a lot about the food in Norway, for example, but I love that. It's very fresh. Like, I could just eat salmon every day. And many people don't know how good the breakfasts are at the hotels in Norway. And also Sweden. I haven't been in Finland, but I imagine it's probably good there too. But Norway and Sweden have some of the best hotel breakfasts in the world. So pretty much any food. I just went recently to an Ethiopian restaurant in Miami. That was really good. You get to eat with your hands. Tech Lord says, Kristin, YouTube will soon become a full-time job for you. I hope so. That's the plan. Do I invest in crypto? Yes. Thanks, Saida. I'm addicted to your videos. My mom has been asking me questions about my videos lately, and I feel like that's a really good sign because, of course, your mom's gonna watch all of your videos, right? But she watches them like as if I'm not her daughter. Like, she's actually watching it for the information, and then she comes to me as if, you know, she's just sending me a message on Instagram or something, as if she's someone that I don't know. And so I get a kick out of that. Cocolino asks, what is my #1 favorite country in Europe? I don't have a favorite. Somebody said, was it Eric? Someone I talked to recently, or I heard this recently, they said it was Eric, choosing a favorite country is like choosing a favorite kid. Can't do it. But yeah, I can't do it. It just depends on what I'm looking for at that time. Like, I'm trying to go to every country in Europe. I've been to almost all of them. But it's really hard for me to say, do I like sitting on the Seine in Paris drinking rosé with my friends at sunset more than hiking a mountain or a fjord in Norway or Iceland versus walking the Camino de Santiago in Spain versus snowboarding in Bulgaria. You know, it's like, I just can't pick. Going on a boat in the islands of Greece. It's hard. Oh, Kevin's here. Welcome, Kevin. Good morning from Hawaii. Kevin from 30 and a Wake Up is here, and I just talked to him a couple days ago. He is going to be a guest on my podcast coming up. We're talking about van life and how he went from being a corporate lawyer to a full-time nomad. And Kevin is one of the OGs from my channel, and I did not know this until I talked to him, but he said that he watched my videos before he became a digital nomad and that it helped inspire him. And I'm getting choked up. And now he's on my podcast, so that's really fun. And I actually heard his podcast with Johnny FD on Travel Like a Boss, and I was like, oh, that's 30 and a Wake Up. He's one of my YouTube subscribers. This was like 2019. So good to see you, Kevin. Enjoy Hawaii. Steve just joined the chat. Welcome, Steve. Oh, and everyone check out Kevin's channel if you like Hawaii or nomading or van life. And he's moving to Thailand after this. So if you came here through the Thailand video, check that out. Your mom goes in the live chats too. That's funny. Steve just joined and he said, what's keeping me in the US? So if you're just joining the live chat now, I was talking about how my work is keeping me here. Well, I'm keeping myself here. It's a conscious choice to stay here. I feel very calm and centered right now in Miami. I'm in this really nice loft apartment with a view of palm trees, coconuts, a pool, a tennis court. The marina is across the street. I have amazing food. I have a bicycle. I have fast internet. And I have my desk where I've been working on my book. And I just want to keep the momentum going. I'm feeling good right now. I'm not feeling like I need to fly anywhere right now, even though the wheels are turning in my head on where my next destination is going to be. Oh, yes, Roy. Let's manifest this. I love Rick Steves. Who doesn't? Let's be honest. And I have a note to reach out to him because I just saw him on CBS Sunday Morning. Does anyone watch that? I love that show. My other friend Kristin introduced me to that show, and they profiled him recently, and he's an inspiration. He's kept his entire staff throughout the pandemic, and he's been playing piano and learning how to cook and playing music on his balcony, and I was thinking I should have him on my podcast. I wasn't sure if if my podcast was big enough for Rick Steves because he's like an icon. He's like Anthony Bourdain. But I feel like he would come on it. He seems like a nice guy. And he's not traveling right now, so I should definitely reach out now before he starts traveling. But I've been my mom loves Rick Steves, and I've been reading his travel guides since I was a little kid, so that would be a good interview. Let's make it happen. How do I overcome sleep deprivation due to shifting time zones? My key is to always plan your flights around when you're going to sleep. So I will never sacrifice sleep to save $100 on a plane ticket. I want to get the most direct flight at the best time. I don't want 4 layovers. I've already done that in my past travels when I was doing a lot of budget travel. And it's just not worth it. It's fine if you're just backpacking and you don't need to be awake, but when you're working and you need to be sharp, if you're not flying in business class and you can't sleep, I try to land at a time where I can stay awake until nighttime. So I don't really like red-eye flights because then I have a whole day ahead of me to try to stay awake. So I try to get there in the afternoon, depending on which way I'm crossing, and then sleep 12 hours when I get there. So one time I flew to Amsterdam. I landed in the morning. I stayed awake until 4 or 5 p.m. and then I slept one time 14 hours when I got there. And then I was fine. I was completely adjusted the next day. But it's all about which flight route you get. And don't take naps. Also get sunlight, get exercise, get some caffeine in you. Oh, and there is a time zone app that I was using. Can't remember what it's called right now. But in the App Store, there's some jet lag apps, and they will actually help you start adjusting to your new time zone before you get there. I love that Kevin, we have the same subscribers probably. Oh, Vive. Vive subscribes to both of our channels. It's all family. Kevin is hardworking. Kevin's a good example of someone who retired early but still works. And I found that a lot of the people that have achieved FIRE continue to work. So even though they don't have to, because that's not necessarily the goal to, it's like retire elective, I think they call it now, rather than retiring early, because you're just basically changing careers. So you'll all have to tune into that interview. Maybe we'll make a video out of it. Should we make a video or just the podcast of the interview? Tech Lords likes layovers. Mike says stay hydrated for jet lag. Yes. You're reminding me to drink water. You got to balance your coffee intake with water. I usually drink at least 10 or 12 ounces of water before coffee. It looks like one of my live chats is behind the other one. I have my channel chat open, and then I have also on Ecamm Live, but they're not synced. So 1 second. Let me see if I wrote some other questions down from earlier. I think I answered all of those. Oh, Alan earlier was asking about Ecuador. Why don't I talk about Ecuador a lot, since that's a big expat destination? And the reason is because I haven't been there. Although I have done some relocations to Ecuador. So I have relocated clients there to Guayaquil and Cuenca. But since I haven't been, I don't really talk about it much. But I do think it's a good place to go because it's so affordable, beautiful. I mean, the cost of living is really low. There's some safety concerns, I think, depending on where you are, like Costa Rica, from what I've heard. But I'll have to go there and check it out. And John's asking about if I've been to Ukraine. And no, but I recommend Johnny FD, his channel, because he's living there now. I think he just bought an apartment there. He was in Sri Lanka for, I think, a whole year, and he's been a long-term traveler and digital nomad, and he has got a lot of Ukraine tips. Definitely want to go there. I think I would really like it. I think you would like it. Bueno. Someone's asking how many languages I speak. Solo dos, Inglés y Español. And Joe's asking on virtual mailboxes. I'm in the middle of doing a lot of research on virtual mailboxes because I don't use one. I've been using my parents' address, thanks Mom, as my permanent address, but not everybody can do that. So I'm in the middle of doing a lot of research on like what's the best virtual mailbox, because inquiring minds want to know. I know that they're quite expensive, and so I don't think that any company has actually solved the receiving mail problem for travelers and remote workers. The biggest key is to stem the flow of incoming mail. So put everything on e-statements that you can, but in some cases, like somebody wrote to me that they had signed up for a TransferWise account or a Wise account based on my recommendation, but they had to put in a permanent address, and they were asking me what to do. And so, yeah, sometimes having a virtual mailbox is the only case in that way, or even paying for a workspace, like a co-working space where you can receive mail there. So, okay, everyone, I'm going to hop over. We've been live for over 90 minutes now. So I'm going to hop over into my Zoom after party with my patrons. So if you would like to join us, you can at patreon.com/travelingwithKristin. For all the patrons that are watching right now, we're going to start in about 5 minutes. And I just want to give a shout out, thank you to everybody who donated super chats today. Really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody who is hanging out in the live chat today. Every month it's getting bigger and bigger, so it's great to see so many familiar faces and names. I can't see your faces. And new people. And we'll see you. The next video is part 2 of the conversation with Eric on his favorite countries to travel to in the world and why. We're also, going down some rabbit holes as we did in part 1 of the conversation. And yeah, stay tuned for lots more videos this month. And our next live stream will be the last Sunday of June, and it will be at nighttime Eastern time, so daytime in Asia time zones. So thank you all for coming. Great to see you. Thanks for all the questions, all the super chats, all of the chats. And we'll see you soon. Keep an eye out also for Kevin's interview on badassdigitalnomads.com coming soon. Bye, everybody.